We didn't ask for it, we didn't want it, however we have it.
They're not going to heal up and get any better as time progresses. They're all ticking time bombs.
I mean, anywhere you go that you have these abandoned vessels, unfortunately, like Shelburne, for example, has that beautiful harbor and, a deep sea port, and yet they've got this horrible vessel sitting at the end of it. And, if you have something like the option of a cruise ship coming to Shelburne, is that the first thing you want tourists to see when they're getting off their ship is something like that? It doesn't do any good. So I think we'll have some public input as well, not just the stakeholders, and so that would be great. Hi, I'm Bernadette Jordan, the Member of Parliament for South Shore St. Margaret's. So I'm here today to talk about M40, which is a private member's motion that I've put forward that will help us deal with abandoned and derelict vessels. I don't think I need to make much of an argument to the residents of Shelburne about just how important this issue is. It's a maritime community. Our waterways provide our livelihood here, and protecting them is critical for long-term sustainability of this town. Your community is no stranger to the challenge of abandoned or derelict vessels.
It is not very attractive to see that large, hulking piece of steel sitting at our wharf in one of the most beautiful harbors in the world, not just in Nova Scotia. It's the third deepest natural harbor in the world. People come to it because of its beauty.
Some of the users of the port are finding it difficult to find space on the port, so there's some complaints that the face of the port is not available for their vessels to tie up to. The large vessel registry is telling us that 59% of vessels registered are over 30 years old, so this is going to be an ongoing problem in the future that we should address now. Currently, too many of our coastal waterways are being polluted with these vessels, and we need to take action. Small communities are being held accountable and held responsible for them, and the people that own them are not.
As a lawyer, I can find ways to pursue an owner, many different ways, but I have found that owners of derelict and abandoned vessels are particularly good at escaping the types of penalties that are already set up for them.
Your last comment actually is what I'm addressing, is the types of penalties that are already set up for them. Because right now, the penalties don't have any teeth, if you ask me. Right now, one of the major problems we have with the derelict vessels is that we don't know who the owners are. You only have to register a vessel if it's sold for commercial purposes. So people who are buying vessels independently and then leaving them, we have no way of knowing who they belong to.
The Farley Moat came into port late one evening, early one morning, unbeknownst to the port.
But I'm convinced that a good number of these things, the person knows exactly what they're doing. When they deposit these vessels in a port like Shelburne under cover of darkness, they know exactly what they're doing.
We need to close some of the legislative loopholes. Right now there's no recourse to hold people responsible who own vessels and leave them abandoned. So we want to make sure that people who are leaving vessels are held accountable and that they can be charged under the law.
The Farley Moat has sunk and been salvaged and cleaned up to the tune of several $100,000, and the individual apparently is bearing no responsibility for that. And that seems to be the case, that once the scrap value of the vessel, once the easy money, for lack of a better term, is obtained, people walk away from the rest of the hulk and just seem to bear no responsibility.
We're calling on the government to take these actions within the next 6 months.
We've had probably half a dozen derelict vessels dating back probably 10 years now.
This has been such an ongoing issue in Shelburne. At one point in time, there were a number of vessels on the main stem of the wharf, 3 or 4 at a time. Today, the Shelburne Marine Terminal was a very, very busy spot with the landing of the Atlantic Preserver. And when other vessels want to come at the same time, there's only a certain amount of space. And with 180 feet of our prime real estate being occupied by a derelict, that's definitely a challenge for the port.
Probably one of the most important things that we want to do is make sure that there's a way to remove them.
There has to be something in place where a higher authority, government, takes responsibility for those vessels.
But I am very, very pleased that Ms. Jordan has championed the issue, and I think she's going to do good things.
This is something you feel strongly about. If you want us to help get rid of these vessels, please make sure you call your MP and ask them to support M40.